This morning, I took some time to process what's going on. So, part of my daily routine is waking up every single day and I go for a 15-minute walk. And right after that, I come home, I pray, and then I sit down and I do a brain dump or a journal, which just helps me clear my head and it allows me to get grounded for the rest of the day. And I've found this very useful. I did this for a stint of about a year, and it made a profound impact in my life. And I reintroduced it back now to be able to process a lot of the emotions, a lot of the things that I'm thinking, and really just making sure that I can get things from out of my head to then actually out in front of me. Because I find that when things are in your head, you're kind of in the muck, right? You're in the shit, and it's hard to process shit when you're in the shit. So it's much easier to process stuff when it's on the outside and you're an observer and you're able to actually look at it and process it and see what is reality, what is not reality, what is emotion, what is instinct, and stuff like that. So this morning, I recently I've sat down and my goal has been to make sure that the next stage in my business journey, in my life, and the things that I want to do are coming from a place of choice, not a place of necessity. Everything that I've done in the past has been from a place of scarcity. I need to make money, I need to survive. So everything has been, I'm just going to do what is required and it's all necessity rather than what is my personal choice. And what that has led me to up until this point, it's starting things and working on projects that are temporary but are not long term. And so this time around, I'm in a very good place where I can take the time to figure out what the choice is. What is the next thing that I want to do? And it's all going to be based off of my choice rather than it being a spur of the moment decision of I need to make money or I need to take care of my health or I need to have this relationship or I'm lonely or this or that. Rather than being in a reactive state, I am now being in more of a proactive state because financially I'm in a position to do so, mentally I'm in a position to do so, and spiritually I'm in a position to do so. And sitting down this morning, I was able to clear my head about what is happening inside of my life and what direction it is that I want to go. So the battle that I have right now, or the thing that I am struggling with, and it's not really a struggle, it's more of something that I am learning the skill set of. It's being able to differentiate the difference between emotions and instinct. And for me, before I learned how to process my emotions, before I learned how to be able to observe my emotions, I was a very emotional individual. I was a very reactive individual. And that didn't serve me in business. It didn't serve me in life. It didn't serve me in my relationships. It didn't serve me in my health. All of the above. And as I have learned to become more rational, as I've become more grounded, more logical, more based on reality, I'm starting to recognize that because I have stopped listening to my emotions, I have also folded the paper all the way to the other side of being so rational, so logical that many times it's hard for me to even understand my gut instinct. And this morning, I was able to have a breakthrough and actually spend the time to journal and get clear on the difference between emotions and instinct. And as I was journaling, I started to process what are the emotions that are coming up when I'm thinking about my next venture. What are the emotions? What are the feelings that are coming up? And I made a list of all that, right? What are the fears? What are the anxieties? What do I feel good about? I made a list of all of those things, right? And I've realized that emotions are based off of past fears, past experiences. Because as human beings, we don't know what the future holds, right? We are memory creatures, and everything we do is based off of memory. We just don't have any recollection of, and it's hard for us to even process reality for what reality is. And so we just live our life using past experiences to make decisions. And that's one thing I had to learn, which is hey, past experiences do not affect the future decisions. Sometimes they do, but many times you have to look at objectively what reality is and then make a decision based off of what is rather than what was. Because if you try to bring the past to the present, it actually causes a lot of havoc and chaos, when in reality, the past was for you to learn from and take those learnings and now apply that to the current reality that you're in, rather than bringing your past into the current reality. I hope that makes sense. So, what I was able to do is I was able to make a list of all the emotions that were coming up. And emotions happen usually after a small period of time. When you think about something, emotions take a little bit of time to fester. Sometimes they're immediate, but once you make a list of them, you realize that a lot of the emotions are just based off of past experiences, things that we believe, false stories that we have, limiting beliefs that we have. And it was really great to list out all the emotions that I am feeling. Then, when it came to gut instincts, because I'm trying to practice and learn to decipher the difference between emotions and my gut. And so, what helped me do this was that learning that gut instincts are instant. You think of something and you instantly get a pull towards something, or you get a natural instinct. You get this internal feel of whether something is right or something is wrong. Now, for me, being very pragmatic, I was like, okay, feeling is also emotion, but feeling is also instinct. And so, again, all of us are on a journey, and I'm on this journey to learn myself. And I realized that when I started putting myself in a scenario of, let's say that I do go down this path that is held. So I have two paths that are held before me. And let's say I go down path A. In path A, what is the emotion that comes up? What is the feeling that arises instantly, not emotionally? What is the what is the feeling that rises instantly? And then I was able to write that down. Then I observed path B. And what was the instinct that I felt, and what was the feeling that I felt when I processed that? And so this is really helping me. And now my next phase is going to be to sit down and go through each of those emotions and figure out if those emotions were untrue, which a lot of the times those emotions are, they're false. They're just false beliefs that we are bringing our past into our current reality. If I'm going to sit down and process each of those one by one and be able to negate them and say, okay, if this feeling and emotion is false, which it is, right, based on reality, then would I actually go down path A or path B? And what that allows me to do is it allows me to settle, or I'm thinking, this is my hypothesis, is that I'm going to be able to settle all of the emotional side of things, and then all I'm left with is what is my gut instinct. And my hope is that once I made the decision, the gut instinct is what's going to allow me to pull me forward towards where it is that I want to go. And I'm going to be proud of the decision that I made, because I didn't make the decision reactively. I made the decision based off of my values, because a lot of the instincts are based off of where you want to go long term, where you see your future self. It's kind of like um, your subconscious self knows where it is that you want to go, and your instinct is telling you to go towards that. And it's a lot of it is just just primal, right? It's something that we have had for a very long time. And so I'm very excited to go through this process. I haven't been able to look at this process from this lens, and it's very exciting to be able to look at this process from this lens, because once you're able to detract the emotions from the decision, then all you're left with is, am I making this decision based off of reality? Yes, right? Once you eliminate all the emotions and once you overcome a lot of the limiting beliefs and the emotions that you're feeling, then when you make a decision, it's it's the most sound decision that you can make with the information that you had. And I think when you make decisions that way, you feel so good, because in that moment, you feel like, okay, I wasn't reacting. I don't feel bad about the decision that I made. This decision was based off of my values, based off of where I wanted to go, and based off of the information that I had at that time, based on the individual and the identity that I had at that time. And so I'm really excited for this process. And my goal is to document this as I'm going through this. So today, I sat down, wrote down my emotions, wrote down my gut instincts and the things that I feel. And the next thing that I have to do is process these emotions to really make sure that I can put the emotions at rest and put the emotions at bay. And what'll happen, I know this from past working through stuff from relationships, working through stuff from my inner child, from my past, is that different things will come up at different times. And this practice of morning journaling, I'm not saying it's for everybody. I'm just saying journaling or getting shit out of your head and looking at it objectively. For me, it's a form of writing because writing is therapeutic for me and allows me to kind of see a clear picture and formulate it in words. It allows me to take things that are intangible that are in my head and make them tangible into words, because then I can process it, then I can move things around, then I can actually look at it objectively. And just this habit of being able to look at things objectively, I'm really excited to recultivate, because a lot of the times what I have done is I've told myself that this is great that you're feeling this. Your feelings, let's compartmentalize this and let's just do the work that needs to get done because that's what's required at this time. And what I'm really excited for is having the ability to process all of this and having the honestly the space, the time, the choice to be able to process this. And I'm grateful for that. And I've never had the ability to do that. Everything was out of necessity. Everything was out of pure escaping my past to create a reality that would make me happier. But in reality, I was just reactively making choices to get away from the past and do things that maybe were not aligned with myself, but doing them just for the sake of doing them. And it's kind of like a dichotomy, right? At the beginning, Carl Jung says this, like, your life begins at 40, everything up until that point is an experiment. And I think part of that within your 20s, I'm about to be 30 next year, is that within your 20s, you're just experimenting, you're overcoming fear, you're trying different things to really come to a conclusion of what are my values, who am I, where am I trying to go? Because if somebody asked me 10 years ago what my values were and I was 19 years old, I would not be able to tell you like what direction I had a direction, right? At that time, I wanted to open gyms and and be a gym owner, right? Because that was the direction that I wanted to go in. And then fast forward to 24, 25, I had a different direction. And so different seasons in our life bring different things. And I really hope that you are able to, or whoever watches this, are able to have the capacity to sit down and work through your emotions. If you need to make a decision, this is if you're somebody who is in a position where you have to make a decision in your life, you're able to sit down and isolate the emotions from what is your instinct, which is your values, which is the long-term direction that you want to go in. And once you're able to do that, you feel really good about the decision. You feel really good not only in the moment but also in the long run, because you made the best decision that you could in that moment, not based off of emotions, but based off of your instinct, based off of your values, based off of where it is that you want to go. So um, that's what I wanted to share today. That was on my mind. That's what I'm working through. Um, Whatever you're working through, I hope you push through, because everyone has the courage and the ability to get to where it is that they want to go if you desire it enough and if you're willing to do the work to get there. So I hope this brings you any sort of value. If it does, awesome. If it doesn't, that's all good. Just documenting the journey, and I hope you have a great day.